My video presentation for the design cycle of my self-selected project. So the first step for creating my final product was to start with criterion A. For strand 1, I decide the general idea for my self-selected project, which was to create t-shirts. Also here I select my specific target audience and what problem I want to find a solution for. This is the shirt that inspired me and gave me a general idea of what I wanted to do, because it has like a complex design but also targets endangered species. For strand 2, I create a general plan to determine the success of my final product. Also, in this strand I determine what's considered primary or secondary research. Here I identify the priorities for my project. For strand 3, I analyze a range of shirts made by the brand Café Press, which is a big endangered species shirt company in the United States. And I use this to give ideas for my final product. For strand 4, I conclude my general idea and specifications for my final product, which is designing shirts that raise awareness for endangered species and that target young adults over 18 but above the age of 30. These are the sources that I used. Next, in this design cycle for my self-selected project came criterion B. For strand 2, I develop a range of more complex specifications and what I have to do to accomplish each one of them. Like for example, aesthetics, style, manufacturing, cost, and advertisement. For strand 2, I come up with a name for my t-shirt design line, which is Basic Bean. I decided to use this name because it is easy to pronounce and a little bit catchy. Also, I designed a shirt using a shirt designer app that I found in the internet. This is my second design, which is a brownish light colored t-shirt with a psychedelic elephant in the back. And this is my third design, which has a green turtle in the front and rotated my brand name Basic Bean in the back. For strand 3, I analyze and rate what each of my shirt designs got. For example, option 1, I rated a 7, option 2, I rated a 10, and option 3, I rated it a 4. For strand 4, I created a final design. I was going to pick option 2 of my 3 previous designs, but got inspired of all 3 shirt designs and developed this last design, which I consider it to be my strongest. Here I describe what's the strengths and weaknesses of my final design and why I chose it. Next is criterion C, which is the third step for my design cycle of my self-selected project. For strand 1, I create a detailed process chart where I mention the number of steps, what process did I take, the resources I used, and the approximate time to complete. For strand 2, I create my final digital design. This is my digital design for my final product, which was made in a Google website. This is a sketch of my main image of my final product. For strand 3, I create my final physical design. This is my final physical design. I know it doesn't look very pretty, but I had a whole other thing planned, but since I was in quarantine and I couldn't go out, I couldn't get materials. So I worked with what I had, and this is my final physical design. This is how my final physical design looks in a model. For strand 4, I mentioned what modifications I did for my final design. At last comes criterion D, which is the last step of my design cycle. For strand 1, I received feedback from a professional designer called González. For strand 2, I rate on a scale of 1 to 5 how did my final product do in each aspect, like logo, fabric, main design, and colors. For strand 3, I mentioned the strengths and the weaknesses of my final product. For strand 4, I asked one of my clients what they thought about my solution of my final product. Their exact words were, "I like what the shirts are addressing to the users, and I also like the colors, but this type of shirts are very usual and not rare at all. In my opinion, I think that my shirts did work out the way I wanted them to, but I don't think they provoked a solid impact." For conclusion, I want to say that I really like this self-selected project because I like the idea of creating something of my own, developing the ideas and seeing how it turns out.